Want to welcome in Sean and Mike, also known as the Golf Trip Guys, to the podcast. Thanks for joining us, me today. We spent 4 days together in Hilton Head, and we're going to talk about it today. So thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having us. I think on our last episode, which was back in the winter, unfortunately, we're not in my kitchen, and we don't have furnished for a golf course on the schedule. But
yes,
we talked about kind of the origins, and now here we are after the event, and it happened, and it was reality. So, yeah, we're excited to share how it went, and future plans for the next ones of these.
Yeah, we played Furnace Brook after we did that recording, just you and me, Sean. The clubhouse was being built. I believe it's done now to show how time has passed.
I did have dinner there last night because our baseball practice was on the field, and it's beautiful.
Awesome.
They did a good job.
That's awesome. Yeah, so like you said, the idea has become now a reality as far as getting people on a golf course with the two of you kind of running an event. And if you want to hear about like the origin and all that stuff, you can go back and listen to that podcast and how you guys got started. I was down in Hilton Head with you guys last week and took a ton of video, a ton of photos. So if you're listening to this and you want to actually get some visuals, you can go to YouTube and watch this podcast and see the golf courses we played and check out some of the scenes and events that went on during those 3 days down in Hilton Head. So I guess the first question worth asking is like, why Hilton Head? What about Hilton Head stood out to you guys as a place to get this kind of endeavor going?
Yeah, Sean, I'll just jump in there and just a quick refresh. I know we went through this in depth the last podcast that we were on here, but for those either new listening or may not have the time to go back to the archives, kind of the thought behind this was, we obviously book customized golf trips for groups of people, guys, gals. We help them match destinations. We also came up with this concept, and this was kind of what we talked about back there, was we had some insights where, not everyone has a group of 8 or 12 that they can go, and they may just have like one really good golf friend that they want to go out and go somewhere. So we kind of had this concept about, why don't we create something that's pre-built, the dates are set, and then like anyone can join. If you're a single or you just have one partner you want to go, or you're a group of 4 and you want to come do something, no planning, you just come and show up and play. That was kind of the sort of birth of this whole concept. Mike, who I'm glad to have join us this time, he unfortunately missed the first round here. We put this together. We chose Hilton Head as a relatively easy destination for those coming out of the Northeast, so especially Boston. There was either direct flights into Hilton Head, or you could go through Savannah like we did, and it was about an hour drive. And the weather is perfect in like late March and April. I think we talked about this multiple times while we were down there. We felt quite bad for the folks back up in Boston where it was, 34 and snowing in parts of Boston, and we're down there in 75 degrees, t-shirts, shorts, just enjoying the beautiful weather. That was a big piece of it. And the other part of it is we wanted sort of a resort type style destination, because we recognized some of these folks coming on this trip had never met each other before. And we didn't really want to go the route of like, let's jam everyone into an Airbnb or something like that with mixed pairings. We wanted everyone to have a room with their partner that they're familiar with, and then the opportunity to come meet and greet throughout different parts of the weekend. So we chose the Palmetto Dunes golf courses, all for their central location, ease to the hotel that we chose, which was the Omni Oceanfront down in Hilton Head. So great setup right on the beach. Pool, bars, restaurants, and really easy access to the golf courses. So that's sort of just some of the foundation there of why we chose Hilton Head. I also, like Mike, I'll let you add on there if there's any additional thoughts you had on how we came there.
Yeah, I think for us having our inaugural event there, one of the things we were also trying to figure out is if, how it went, what it ended up being like. Is that a place we could go back to, in the future as well? And so having that ease of access, having the options for multiple different kinds of golf courses as well. Hilton Head has so many on the island that we can choose from in the future, or be able to explore a little bit more. So having that option available and getting a sense for how it worked was really an idea that we thought we could look to expand down the road as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was striking driving from Savannah to Hilton Head, the amount of golf courses you drive by just on the main road where you don't have to you don't have to venture too far off the beaten trail to find a golf course to play. And I also, I've been thinking about the trip and the kind of scope of the golf in that area and the way golf trips are starting to go, where if you don't win a lottery, you're not going to Bandon Dunes anymore. If you don't win a lottery, you're not going to Sand Valley. And there's all these places that are super popular that are maybe even more seasonally challenged with regards to, Wisconsin and Oregon and Hilton Head. It's going to be interesting what the next 5 or 10 years brings for places like Hilton Head that boomed in the 90s and had a ton of golf and built a ton of houses and stuff. And now it's such an easy kind of place to get to from where we are. And you could go down multiple times and you could find the courses you like and play those. And you could play places that you just are happy seeing in your rearview mirror and never playing again. And you don't have to play it again because there's a trillion choices down there. So that stood out to me as another part of this trip because I had never been to that part of the country to play golf before.
Yeah, I think for me, when you say that, Sean, what I was a little bit worried about was given the popularity of the destination, that some of these courses might be, even in April, might be a little overplayed, right? They get a lot of action. And we didn't find that at all. They were in phenomenal shape. Seems like the time of year was great. There was, we didn't run into any punch screens. We didn't run into burnt out areas. So, it feels like they understand what they're doing. They know the volume coming in and they really manage it well. So it was nice to see that.
Yeah. Didn't even feel busy.
No, no, really didn't.
Golf courses weren't jammed. It didn't feel like we were sharing the course with a ton of people. It was appropriately busy. It felt like, oh, there's other golfers here, but we were not.
Which was a concern while we were booking it, because as we were setting up the tee times, finding out that some of them were 8 or 9 minutes apart gives you pause coming from the Northeast, right? That is not something you like to see when you're looking at the tee sheet, but it definitely did not feel that way at all. I don't think we had maybe a little slow, but one of the days, but that was maybe more for our own groups than anything else.
Yeah. Let's just kind of we've kind of done a little bit of it, but just an overview of the trip. And then kind of at the end, we'll circle back to, what we brought home with us and what we're thinking and just kind of those thoughts. So overview, you already mentioned where we stayed. We stayed at the Omni. We played 54. Sickos played 72 holes. We had one guy on the trip who went to the Masters and was almost touching 200 holes because he got down there early, went to the Masters, and then joined us. So it was a wide array of kind of holes played. But if you just wanted to play the golf trip guys trip, you could play 54 holes. That was the competitive side. Can you guys just kind of talk about the team competitive aspect? Because I think that's another piece that was kind of neat for me to see. A lot of golf trips some people go on and they're just going and they're going to play golf. They might have a touch of competition, but we played 3 competitive rounds. Mike, you and I were partnered together. John, you played with your cousin, and then we had a handful of other teams. I think there were 16 people in all, so that's 8 teams, I believe. If my math serves and my memory serves, that's how many we had. So just talk about the 54-hole kind of little event that offered some competition and some fun for everyone involved. I mean, we were talking 3 handicaps to 25 handicaps playing in this thing.
Yeah, I think that right there was the key of it is, in past trips that Mike and I have done on the personal side, there's always been sort of this Ryder Cup mix type competition where we're doing different things. And people have always told us I wasn't sure what to think about the competition because, we had such varying handicaps, but at the end of it, they're like, that was awesome. I can't believe all this came down to the last hole or these things happened. And people were super into it as it happened, even though they may have been hesitant up front. So we kind of took that thinking into this and wanted to add this sort of, we're trying to call it competitive yet fun element to golf so that you're engaged, you're playing, but anyone, regardless of handicap, has a way to compete and essentially be in the final. I know we'll get to it, and little spoiler here though, but there was ultimately a tie, and the 2 teams that were involved in it were some of the higher handicap teams. So it was really cool to see how people embraced the challenge, and I think they actually, even if they were hesitant at the beginning, were like, that was awesome, I want to do that again. like every golf trip I go on, even more, I want to play more like competitive style golf.
Right. And we thought a lot about this heading into it, thinking, you mentioned, Sean, wide arrays of handicaps, not, some people that may not have played 36 holes in a day in a long time or maybe ever. I think we had a few that never done that before. And so as we thought about setting up the trip, wanting to do it on a long weekend, how do you fit all that golf in while keeping it competitive, keeping people somewhat fresh? And so we ended up setting the formats up to be best ball to start, right? So everyone's playing their own ball all the time. So the first day team that. The second round on the first day was the back end of the 36, and so we did a two-person scramble, which I thought was so much fun. You play your scrambles, you're in 4-person teams like that. That could be great, but a 2-person scramble, you get to kind of have a little strategy in there. You get to think about things, and had a lot of fun playing that. And then the last day, we ended up doing quota for that day. And so what that kind of, you level the playing field with the handicaps, but you also give a chance for folks or teams that may have been down the list over 36 holes to really make up some ground, right? And so that really helped us bring everybody back into the game. It was introducing new formats to people that they may not have played. But ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody got to swing every time, which was something we really wanted to make sure we also had. You're coming down there to golf. You want to have this experience. We didn't want to bring formats in where you're playing alternate shot, for example, and you're not playing your own ball. Like that didn't feel like what we wanted to provide as the experience. And at the end of the day, it really ended up all coming together. We never could have planned it that way if you even tried to script it, but it all came together. Everyone had individual payouts. We had a little bit of a competition going. So each round had their own things. We had some skins on the side, and then you had that overall kind of end of the day where, Sean had teased that playoff hole. But, it really was, it kind of introduced things to folks that they might not have had a chance to play in when you're just playing at your local muni or around the area.
The other thing I appreciated about the setup, what you mentioned, the skins game, and like everything was just included in what people paid. There was no running around or feeling like you were, especially for you guys, like collecting cash for skins or trying to do and then explain. It was just like you pay, you're in the pot, and on Saturday night we'll let you know who won what as far as like payouts for skins and that kind of stuff. So that can be a complicated thing to manage, and I thought it was well done that it was just like everyone's in it. There's 25 handicaps who might win skins, and there's 3 handicaps who are going to maybe make a birdie and not win a skin, depending on the hole and all that stuff. So I thought that was really good. And the alt shot really for me only works if you play a place twice in a day, right? So if we had one course to play 36 holes in a day, like play your own ball in the morning and then go play a quicker alt shot. But if you only are going to get to play a course once on a trip, alt shot is a tough sell to people who traveled all the way down from New England to play as much golf as they possibly can. The 2-man scramble, I think I had never played a 18-hole 2-man scramble before. It was a lot of fun, and a great way to play an afternoon round after playing 18 holes the day before and knowing I had 18 holes to play the next day, and not having played really any golf in months because we live where we live.
Right.
I don't think we can leave him hanging though here.
No, we teased the playoff hole. I think we got to jump into it, right?
Yeah, we can get into it. We can get into that now. That's great.
And plenty more to come because our friend Sean here documented it with Mike's assist.
Documented 2 cameras. So yeah, I've been working through some footage,
cutting up a little bit of entertainment content for everyone here. But I think first of all, shout out to the courses for it came to 54 holes. It came down to a tie, and they let us everyone in the group walk the first hole again and let the 2 teams that were involved in the playoff play the hole again. Shout out to that course for allowing that to happen. But that was, it was a pretty cool vibe with the 4 of them going down the hole and then a gallery walking alongside with beverages and chirping and side bets going and over-unders on the whole hole. So that was a really fun experience. And then seeing Joe Carroll, who I played with that day, hadn't hit a solid iron the entire day. It's like a 7-iron from like 190 yards to 15 feet.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, Jones course lets us go out at 4:00. We finished around 2:30, and we realized we had a tie, and everyone was game to just like hang around for 90 minutes before having the tee box at 4:00. That is one little thing. If you're going to Hilton Head, you should be aware of is like everyone turns into a pumpkin at 4:00, and there are no tee times to be found after that. You're out of luck. So if you want to play like an evening round, those are hard to get, at least from our experience with the places we play. Maybe that's just Palmetto Dunes, but talking to people who live down there or spend time down there, like after 4:00, it's tough to just get out on a golf course. So they were nice enough to give us that 20-minute window and let us all walk. And no, there was no one behind us, so we were able to take a picture on the green afterwards and like kind of make our way back and not feel like we were in the way. It was a very cool half an hour watching those four guys play the first hole again. And Joe's shot was great. I think between other than one player, I think we had a par and two bogeys out of that group of four who are all 20 plus handicaps who had like a gallery watching them play. It was pretty awesome. It was very impressive.
Poor Kevin was the other one getting stuck in that bunker and firing him over.
Well, by the end of the week, he was called Sandy. So we had and that to me too is, if looking back on it and thinking about how the trip went and the fact that we had that opportunity for everyone to be together, walking down the course, having that, transfusion in their hands, cigars are lit, everyone's joking around, and what I noticed as I was walking behind everyone is you had a group of people that some people knew each other, some people didn't, but a lot of people were hanging out and walking with people that they just met that day, that weekend, and so the ability, the fact that like that it came together that way. Sean, you mentioned Kevin, by day 2, his nickname was now Sandy because he spent so much time in the traps, and everyone on the trip knew it. So it wasn't saying like, go on, Kevin, let's, hit that shot. It was Sandy's up, like that kind of thing. So it was just a really neat experience. I have to be remiss if I didn't pay homage to our other, colleague, our partner who helped us out here, Jordan Yanni from FN3P. He really worked his magic with the course to get that playoff hole set up. So, I don't know if we would have had that thought. And Jordan just we were sitting around. He came to me and said, we got a tie. And I looked at the putting green and they didn't have the real holes out. And I'm like, can't do that. He's like, I got it. Don't worry. And off he went. And before you knew it, it was 4:00 and we're teeing off. So, it was really awesome that he helped us pull that together and ran the event and did a great job.
And not only that, we all looked great with the shirts with the logos from the event.
We did.
So we did. FN3P brand provided some great shirts and hats.
Yes, we made it too far into this before mentioning Jordan for sure. He was super helpful and kind of did all the scoring and all the handicap nonsense that my 4th grade math brain cannot comprehend. Putting dots on scorecards 10 minutes before a round because we made a change, or you guys kind of decided on Saturday morning we were going to play 2-man net where everyone's score counted, and we kind of looked at the group and you guys were like, I don't know if this is if they've got it in them after 36 holes yesterday, and made the switch to quota, and Jordan like right on top of it. I did it without a. I think you were kind of talking about the group dynamic. We had 2 women on the trip as well, so that was kind of a cool little piece of the trip as well. Just Renee and Charlene joined. Renee was at the golf show, at the Northeast Golf Show, and had a booth. She's a phenomenal artist. Mike has a sketch above his left shoulder of Augusta that she did, and she's got some awesome stuff, does murals. And so she was like, yeah, I'll go on the trip with you guys. So she signed up like 2 weeks before the trip, 3 weeks before the trip, got Charlene on board and joined us as well. So it was a cool group. And like, it's a cliche for a reason, but the golf stuff on the golf course is fun. But what you start to see, the mixing of people, that's not necessarily always on the golf course, right? That's like different little moments. I noticed it Saturday morning when everyone's getting ready to play the 3rd round at Jones, and there's just a little bit more chatter and people rehashing stuff from the first 2 days. And some folks ventured out into Hilton Head on Saturday night, had some stories to share, like that kind of stuff. It's like the locker room stuff or the college golf van stuff where people are just getting together and hanging out and telling stories. And that for me was like a little moment of like, oh, especially recording it and taking video and taking photos, you could start to see like, oh, there's people kind of crossing now into different friendships and like chatting with people who they, might not have known on Thursday when they got on the plane. So that was pretty cool.
I felt that way too, Sean, at the dinner we had. So we also had a dinner Saturday night at the resort, kind of a little banquet style, handed out some trophies, handed out the prizes. And as I was sitting there looking around the table, it was really awesome just to hear the laughter, the recounting of stories, the conversations about like, want to do this again. I want to play more golf, that sort of thing. I think as Sean and I were envisioning how this trip would go, having that chance for everyone to have that moment Saturday to be together, have a nice meal, have some drinks, like just, have the chance to loosen up and think about the last 3 days and think about what they want to do next was really awesome to see. So I was really excited about that.
Any moments for you, Sean, that kind of stood out from the week?
Yeah, I mean, Mike and I were recapping some of this, and I just thought it was really cool. Even the first night, we had played a bonus. People wanted bonus golf, so that first night we played, I'd say, a shout out little hidden gem of Old South. And probably about half the group came there, and some people had played 18, and then other people came in, and we had sort of a welcome reception that was totally optional at the hotel bar, and everyone showed up. And within minutes, like I saw people that had never met each other before were now laughing and joking and having conversations, and then like Renee and Charlene fit in so well with the group, and like everyone was awesome in terms of like welcoming them, and I'd say not even just them, but welcoming everyone of any golf skill level. Like it wasn't oh, you're 24, like that type of thing. I think people just sort of bonded over golf, and it was really evident that first night at the bar when it could have just been all the people that were twos paired together sitting by themselves, but it was totally the opposite where everyone was mixing and getting to know each other. And I just thought, all right, now we're off and running. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, golf is the best. It's just like it just
brings you together.
Has that crazy effect on people, no matter where they're from, how good they are, how bad they are, what courses they like to play, what courses they don't like to play. Which let's talk about the 4 courses that we played and kind of just give people a sense of like the itinerary of the week. So Thursday, the 3 of us and a couple other people took a 6 a.m. flight out of Boston to Savannah. It's like a 2.5 hour flight, like pretty easy, pretty smooth sailing. Savannah Airport is a delight to get in and out of. I mean, so right. We rented a car. You guys also organized a shuttle for like people coming at different times during the day. So they got off the plane, they grabbed their bags, and they had a shuttle. If they want to do Shipsticks, they got a Shipsticks discount. I don't know if anyone took you guys up on that, but that was kind of a nice little perk that you offered as well through them if people wanted to do that. But direct flight, I felt like I could trust my bags would make it. If I had to make a connection, I might have used Shipsticks because I've been burned before. So then you said how easy the trip was a few times now, and it means you can play golf that day. You can land, you can get down there, and you can play golf. We played Old South golf links in Bluffton. So we had to leave the island once we got to the hotel, put some stuff on, turned around, and went and played there. And a handful of, what would we have, 8 people play?
It was 8.
We had 8, so 2 groups went out and played there. No competition there. It was just kind of an opportunity to play some golf, get some sun. Some folks stayed back at the resort and hung out by the pools and on the beach and whatever else. So kind of an open afternoon to play. Old South Links was like, it's a low country. You got the Spanish moss trees. You're in some tight spots. You're in some wide spots. You're playing over water. You're playing out. There's some really cool holes out over a marsh. Both the front and the back bring you out there, so you get to see it twice. I thought it was a pretty good way to start the trip. Wasn't super distracting with like crazy water. I think sometimes people get in their head as soon as you get below the Mason-Dixon line, like you're playing along the water, you're like constantly hitting over and around water. There are some holes like that, but this was a pretty good little mix of golf holes, I thought, over for an 18-hole golf course.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. So for me, it was the going through the low country, having the Spanish moss trees, really gorgeous, especially that time of day. Sun was high, but on its way down because it was late afternoon. And one of the best parts too that I love about playing, to your point, south of the Mason-Dixon, the wildlife on the course is just part of the course, right? So you run into an alligator here. We saw a bald eagle flying around, like just things you don't see when you play your normal courses up in the Northeast, and just brings an extra flair to it. Couple quirky holes on that course for sure. Some holes a little bit target practice. I forget what it was. It might have been 14. They had a pretty hard dog leg right that you had to hit into, and then over water into a elevated green a little bit. So that one was a little challenging. Hit a great shot in the fairway and then just lost it in the marsh. So that's kind of the game you play there. There really were only a few of those. Everything else seemed great to me. So I'm glad we added that on. And that goes back to previously, like, that's the point with Hilton Head. There's so much opportunity to play different courses and get a different feel. So it was nice to add a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 17th stands out.
The par 3.
That par 3 that like abuts the marshland, and then it's got views all the way out to the water. Like that was really cool. And it was great that we'll get some footage of it too, because I know you were able to get the drone up flying on that one. So that hole stood out, and then those they were quirky. I still kind of had fun with them. I know that was probably the unpopular opinion. More people were involved by them, but it was that one that was like you got to hit like an 8-iron and then a 7-iron. I don't know. It was weird, but it was something different. And then we learned quickly, like, don't look for your ball in the bush because there could be a gator in there. And I still can't with the gators. Still, I'm like, you shouldn't even be on this earth. You're like a dinosaur.
We saw a bunch of them. Yeah.
It's jarring to see still. And I mean, they don't move because they're just like basking in the sun, but I'm just like waiting for the thing to jump up and come at you.
So that was Old South Links. Yeah, I got the drone up there, so some good footage. Once again, plug the YouTube to go check it out. And then the next morning, play two man best ball net at all 3 of these courses now are at the Palmetto. So we were able to, it's a super fast drive, kind of everything nice and close to each other. We played the Fazio course. I was mentally preparing for water features and kind of like those Fazio highlights that tend to hit everyone in the face when they play a Fazio. But I actually thought it was pretty good. It was playable, a nice introduction to the kind of Hilton Head suite of courses that we played. Greens were in good shape. Just a pretty good, solid front and back 9 felt different from each other. A couple cool little par 3s that played over water that were challenging. It was windy. It's some really horrific shots just trying to gauge the wind. But I thought I was very pleasantly surprised both in the middle of the round and just afterwards, having played it.
I was too. I thought that was going to be a lot less forgiving. And I mean, I played with you guys. You see where my driver's at these days.
A lot of trouble left. A lot of OB left, kind of all the way around the golf course. Like, and the ranger warned us.
If you push right and you slice, like you're gonna love this course. Just don't go left. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna go left. It was still, I mean, it was playable and enjoyable. Very, very good condition, well maintained. So Fazio, I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, the elevated greens got to me. So there's be prepared for those elevated greens. That's Fazio in a nutshell. But I thought chipping wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. Bermuda grass can always be a challenge, but seemed to be fine. Really thought it was a great way to introduce everyone to the trip too, with being a little more open, being able to find your ball. And I think for me personally, I thought they were the best greens of the trip. They were true and pure, running fast. So I think it was a really well set up course and had a lot of fun playing it.
Also, just one last thing before we get to the afternoon round. The Ranger, just in like an all-time range, like 3-minute speech. I got the whole thing on camera. I don't know how I'm going to share it, but it was so good. It was so well practiced. It wasn't like cringy. He actually gave us information, warned us about the Gators. Yeah, gave us a sense of what the golf course was like. It was like a great Hall of Fame starter speech. I thought he was great. Then we had some lunch, head over to Arthur Hills, super fast drive, like I said. My least favorite golf course of these 3. I'm glad we played it as a scramble. Just a lot of really funky holes. I tagged Design Disasters, who is run by the guys over at Friday Golf, with a few of these from this round. Water in some really tough places. I was glad to have a partner in Mike who could bail us out on a few tee shots in a few areas, because it was probably the hardest
Absolutely.
of the courses, but strictly because there were a lot of small landing areas, very targety, especially the back nine. Like, it felt like the front nine was pretty good, but man, the back nine it felt like the water like was creeping in slowly over the course of the of those last 9 holes.
Yeah, I totally agree, Sean. Felt a lot tighter. Landing areas for me, I'm sure I missed a lot that you had hit, but they do have some nice holes. There's coming around 2 holes. You got the lighthouse there in the background,
Yes,
hitting into the greens. That was really pretty. Got some great shots of that, and it's nice. I enjoy a course that takes the most iconic part of that course and makes it a feature, and they had that as the logo, so it's really easy to remember. But I agree with you. I think out of the 4 we played, it would play it again, but probably wouldn't be on the top of my list if I'm going back to Hilton Head.
Sean, we didn't play this round together. We only played Fazio. What did any extra thoughts on Arthur Hills? I do like the lighthouse call out, because it's a cool little feature that they have. Cool. Yeah.
I wish I saw it earlier. Was my only issue. Like,
yeah.
Back to the green, I was like, because I had, as Mike said, it is kind of the signature feature there. So I was like looking forward to seeing it, and then suddenly it was just like there in the background. And I was like, oh, this is the lighthouse hole. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that it was probably the 4th on my list, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is. There's 4 courses. There's got to be a 4th. You can't love them all. And I've heard from people. I posted something on Instagram this week just about the trip in general, and I heard from some people that thought like Arthur Hills, and that's a place that they enjoy playing, along with Robert Trent Jones. Like, those 2 for them were the ones that they really liked. And I thought, oh yeah, okay. I mean, if you play it when it's in good shape and you like that kind of golf, you could absolutely like Arthur Hills. I looked up who Arthur Hills was. He designed so many golf courses. He didn't do anything in the Northeast, so I had never really heard of him before. But he's done like a ton of golf in Michigan and down south and in the Midwest. Just a bunch of golf, resort golf, muni golf. The one I noticed was he did Chaska Club, which was the co-host of the US Am last year, which was at Hazeltine. So the guy knows what he's doing. It was just not our favorite. And then after that evening, we kind of got done late, and I think the other nice thing you guys did, just as far as itinerary, was give some freedom of time. So like, I went to the bar, I got a burger and a beer, and I went to bed. I was exhausted, and some folks went out and enjoyed Hilton Head and checked it out. So you kind of gave a little bit of freedom in that window too. I don't know if you have any call outs for the nightlife in Hilton Head that you want to share, or we can just skip that and go to Robert Trent Jones.
No, just be prepared. Some places do close earlier than you might think. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
So that was one for me. They had a nice tiki bar, tiki restaurant. Food was great. Had live music, but wasn't expecting it to close at 10. So just keep an eye out for that if you go down there. Definitely, plan ahead if you're looking for that extracurricular.
Let's go to the Robert Trent Jones, the 3rd round, Saturday, late morning. Gave us a little bit of time to sleep in, which was also appreciated. This was my favorite of the golf courses. Their 10th hole is their signature hole. You kind of climb up. The 9th and the 10th are par 5, so you're covering like 1,000 yards over the course of those 2 holes, climbing slowly up towards the Atlantic Ocean. There's a bar next to the 10th green, which I have heard people will kind of wander off and grab a drink there before continuing the round. Just that little, once you get to 8, 8's a cool little par 3. Then you play 9 through 17 is just in this open area. It's well bunkered. There is water, but I think I said this after we finished the round. The water didn't feel distracting. It didn't feel like it was in the way. We had one player who typically shoots in like the low 100s. He shot 89, and he was part of the playoff, and just kind of like just rocketed up the scoreboard or the leaderboard with their quota score, and found their way in a tie and ended up losing in the playoff. But like, that's the kind of golf course it was. If you just could hit it straight and kind of avoid the bunkers, which were avoidable because they were on the edges, you could score. The greens were in pretty good shape. The greens were pretty big, and I liked putting them. They had like a little bit of movement to them. So overall, that's my rant on Jones. But I thought it was the best one we played of all of them, especially for that like 8 through 17 stretch was the strongest golf we played, I think, the whole trip.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the coming up to that 10th green, it's a pretty straight par 5, but you have the whole view of that green they're about to approach coming up to it, right? And there's sand dunes in the back, and I think there were some kids or a family playing on them while they're watching you putt, and it was a really cool experience. And a couple holes par 3 over water, like you said, but they do. The one thing I will say, and this is not a knock on the course at all, because I thought it was fantastic. You get the sacrifice of the 18th hole for
Yes.
the getting out to the water, right? Like it was definitely a get me back to the clubhouse kind of feel, but that didn't take away from the round at all. Just one of those little nuances that you think about. You get, I think it was 8 holes out kind of near the water, with one of them with that green on it, but you were kind of in that area for a while, so it was well worth the ride to get back to 18.
It was like a tale of the beginning, because that 10th hole is their signature hole, so you're looking forward to that the whole round. And it's a little like the first 2 holes were kind of odd because like the road is there, so you're like going in and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have this like peaceful, serene ocean vista golf, and then you got like a busy road going by, and you're like, wait a minute, what is this? But then that par 3, the last one along the road, which I also put a ball on the road.
So did I.
That was a nice little hook left on that one. I think it's like my thing. Whenever there's a signature hole, I'm like, I'm not even going to play this hole. I have such a bad tee shot. So I don't really get to, or I get to experience it more than everyone else, I guess, because they see angles that no one else does. But I chose to not hit that green. But once you got past the holes that line the road, like phenomenal. That course was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I know the stretch you guys mentioned with the halfway house there too. And that was just super cool. And the greens, I like those greens the best in that one.
Yeah.
I thought they rolled the best.
I mean, putting the ball on the road's not the worst thing, Sean. We got to wave goodbye to it on Sunday morning.
Yeah, we saw it on the way out. Then the shuttle was still there the next day.
Yeah, that was the best stretch, I thought. And also, you mentioned the halfway house. It did just have like they had a pro tracer range. It did feel like of the 3, the one that's their signature course, the one that I think they want people to play when they visit, or maybe more so than the Fazio and the Arthur Hills.
Super welcoming, like Southern hospitality, all that.
Yeah.
Just to put a pin on it, I think if you're looking for gear at Palmetto, especially the clubhouses on those 3, they all had similar styles, similar. Obviously you have your individual course logos and things, but the Robert Trent Jones course had the largest selection. So if that's something you're looking for, just keep that in mind as you're playing those courses. That's always a struggle for me when I go somewhere and we play like a Stream Song or a Pinehurst. It's when do I buy the thing I want to buy?
Yeah,
because there's so many options to choose from. But that seemed to have some good selection.
Yeah. So that was Saturday, and then Saturday night we had a lovely dinner at HH Prime at the Omni. There was a 3-course kind of choose your appetizer, choose your entree, have a dessert. Gave out some awards, let people know who won the skins and all that kind of stuff. So obviously people are happy getting some money back in their pocket for some good golf. And it was, yeah, like I think we already said just how nice a cap that was on the trip, just giving the sense of like, oh, these people now had a great time. They're kind of recapping it together. There was no one that was grumpy or felt left out. It was kind of like a nice group that stitched together well over the 72 hours that they were together. Once again, because golf is the best.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better.
And then we all headed home and watched Rory win the Masters. So what a way to cap off a great trip. And if you wanted to stay, I think there were some people who had an evening flight. Like you could have played more golf on Sunday if you really wanted to, because it is so easy to get home. You could have booked an evening flight, played 18 holes in the morning, and been at Savannah without a hitch as well. So you could have played 90 holes from Thursday to Sunday if you wanted to. But we had early flights. I wanted to get home and be able to watch the Masters. That was definitely on my mind.
Now, with that, though, Rory's playoff hole wasn't as exciting as our playoff hole, obviously.
No,
right?
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
The reactions were almost the same from Joe and Jordan. And
exactly.
Rory. Yeah, for sure. So that was the trip. It was a great trip. And I think the next thing that's worth just talking about is hearing from you guys. Like, you've done one trip. It was successful. What's next?
Yeah, so I think unanimously, so 2 things. Unanimously, we're definitely going to do this next year. So at minimum, this will be a yearly event. we'll look again, March, April timeframe, 2026. We may do Hilton Head again, or we may look to another one to be decided there. The other thing that we're looking at is, we kind of went into this as, this is a trial. We want to see how this goes. I think we come out of it, a bunch of learnings, but overall, I'd say it was a resounding success. So we do have potential plans to do another event in November in the fall. So we're looking at the PGA Frisco Resort there. So the brand new kind of golf mecca complex. I think they're calling it like new home of American golf. It's got 2 championship courses. It's got night golf, like on a 10-hole short course. They got full top tracer, bay, bar, all that stuff. Like nice resort on property, pool, all that stuff. So I think that one's still a little bit unknown, which is cool as a chance to kind of get people exposed to it. Because I know I brought it up to a few people and they're like, oh, I think I've heard of that, but I'm not quite sure what's there. So I think we're going to look to check that one out, pending the amount of interest that we get on it. So if anyone's listening and they're interested in hopping on in November, I think we're looking at like the second weekend, the 13th or so in November as the time frame. Just shoot us an email, trips@golftrip-guys.com, or you can fill out a form on our website and indicate your interest. And I think what we'll do and what we've talked about is, if we get interest of around kind of what we had here, 16 to 18 people, we'll sort of unlock it and then take deposits to book it. Yeah, I'd say I'd almost put it out to people. If it's something they're interested in, send us your interest and we'll get that thing unlocked.
Yeah, it's the home of the PGA of America at this point. It's hosting the PGA Senior Championship this year. It's hosting PGA Championships, plural, in the next decade. It's kind of going to be their version of what Pinehurst is. You mentioned the home of golf, and like the American home of golf is Pinehurst, and the PGA America is trying to create something that can be their home base, and it can host a bunch of stuff and have PGA professionals out there for training. I mean, it's like a huge complex. If you're interested in even just seeing what the golf courses look like, the Fried Egg just posted, they played 18 holes there. Andy Johnson played against Luke Colton, who is like one of the best junior golfers in the country. He lives out in Frisco. So if you even just want to like get a sense of what the golf course looks like and how it plays, they're gonna be really cool. And I think Gil Hanse did the first one, and so it's definitely kind of one of those trips you want to go on now before it gets popular and you're entering a lottery.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that's November. So people, I'll put in the show notes and share out links if people are interested in just checking that out and getting more information from you guys. So that's November. We're going to do another kind of spring. You guys call this the spring training, the trip we went on in Hilton Head. So it sounds like you're going to aim to do something around the April, get people from the Northeast to go and play golf when they're itching to do it. And then it's nice to get back. It's going on a trip in January, February is great because you're just escaping the cold. It's kind of nice to go on a trip like the timing we did. It snowed up here, but then we got home and people could have played. It's golfing weather here now. Like it's like seamlessly in, played a bunch of golf. You feel like, oh, I can go play locally and I'm not sitting around for another month just kind of itching to play golf. It's golf season.
Yeah, we think of it as just extending our season up here. So we start in March, April, and then, we go in November. So you're getting a few more weeks out of the season at the tail end and some in the front end too.
Yeah, I had one of the guys that joined our trip. He's one of my friends a lot, over the course of my life, and he's just starting to pick up golf more frequently. And so he texted me on Monday morning. He said, I just got back to the driving range. I can't wait to play more golf. So it's like, just having that opportunity to experience the golf, more golf in short periods, in short bursts, like a trip like that, just cements kind of the addiction that we all, I'm sure the three of us all share it together. It was nice to hear that from him.
And then I know a few other things maybe on the docket that you want to share or start to get people interested in. But I believe after the golf show, you met some folks from Ireland who are helping put together a trip as well. So going international within, I think it's summer 26 that you're thinking about doing that.
Other side here, we've got a number of clients that we're putting packages together for and helping them come up with a few destinations to choose from. So Ireland's a big one. And one of the unique things that we learned about Ireland is they open up their tee times like every April for the next year. So, and these book out, pretty quickly. So if you're interested in a 2026 Ireland trip, like now's the time to start considering it. So we did put together a great package with them, like fully chauffeured across the southwest of Ireland. So you get Ballybunion, Tralee, Waterville, Dukes, and then there's an optional add-on for Old Head, which gets you an extra night. So it's about 6 nights, flying in and out of Dublin and get the full Irish hospitality. So that's a really cool one we got going. We're looking at Spain and Portugal for a couple clients. So on the Costa del Sol of Spain, there's a whole bunch of courses down there, including Finca Cortesine, where the Solheim Cup was 2023, gorgeous course. And then Portugal's got a whole region right along the Mediterranean with a whole number of courses and a bunch of great resorts there too. So we're looking international, and then we're also looking, obviously, domestically. A couple great places that we're putting packages together are French Lick down in Indiana, which I know is in a lot of people's minds like a flyover place, but there's some phenomenal golf there, and like beautiful like Pete Dye course, there's Donald Ross course there. There's a course that filters in through the Indy 500, like the infield Pete Dye design, that's got 4 holes within there, so you can knock that off in that package. Obviously, Arizona's a hot spot, and then actually another one we're just getting in contact with is Kingsmill down in Williamsburg, Virginia. So this one's a bit of a hidden gem. They got 2 phenomenal courses, like right along the James River. They got golf villas where you can get your group to stay together, and if you don't want to do the double occupancy hotel thing, you get more than a group in a house and get more laughs and more everything together there. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of those in the works, and we're always looking to find new destinations and try to learn about our clients and understand what destinations and what styles are the best fit for them, so that we can really build a perfect customized golf trip for them that they don't have to do anything but just show up and play.
Right. I think that's the punctuation point. Is we just talked about a trip to Hilton Head that was like pre-planned, and then you are also open to people just cold emailing you or filling out the contact and saying, I've got 4 buddies. We actually have no idea where we want to go, and I'd love some help. Here's and you can help them there. You could also hear from people that just say, I know I want to go here. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it work, and I'd like someone to do it for me because I am too busy, or my group doesn't have a planner. I can speak from experience with that one. Like if you don't have a planner in your group, it's very hard to get anything done and anything in the books. So you can keep your eye on their website for the actual like pre-packaged stuff like we did at Hilton Head, where you're going to end up meeting a bunch of different people in different groups. Or if you've got a group and you have been texting about a trip for the last 3 years and you finally want to get it done and in the books, they can also reach out to you guys, which I think is a cool little two-way street that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And and also Sean and I are headed out to Utah in early June to do a little scouting trip. So keep an eye on our socials, keep an eye on the site. We'll be posted as we're out there playing Sand Hollow, the Ledges. Going to do our best to get on to Black Desert and figure that out. But, that's another area too, desert golf, canyons, mountains, just absolutely beautiful. And, I think for us, as we thought about how we want to approach this and what we're doing, I think you've said it best, John. But, I think the 3 of us here have talked about how golf is the best 3 times just in this podcast, right? So we firmly believe that everyone deserves a golf trip, and we're here to bring that to you. And we want to make it as easy as possible and bring great destinations and just build those memories that you could come back to all the time. So, I think it's it's exciting, and then looking forward to see how we can help anybody and everyone.
Awesome. Yep. I will drop everything in the show notes. People can check you guys out on Instagram, but it'll all be there. So if you're interested and you want to follow their Instagram, you want to reach out to them, it will all be in the show notes for you to check out. Anything else, guys? That was great. Good hour of golf talk, golf trip talk.
Absolutely.
No, just thanks for having us on, Sean.
Yeah, no problem.
That you were able to make it down to Hilton.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I've still got a little bit of red skin from the spots I missed.
We tried our best. We tried our best.
Just this Irish skin, I think I'm more suited for a trip to Ireland than to Hilton Head, to be perfectly honest.
There you go. Love it.
All right, guys. Thanks, and we'll see you on the links.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.